Well, you're between a rock and a
774
hard
ABC
place, aren't
Melbourne.
you? There's a
On
story
radio,
swirling around
online
that
and on
refuses to go
digital.
away. If we talk about it, we're giving it
Jon
oxygen.
Faine.
If we don't talk about
Good morning,
we
Friday
refuse
morning,
to
November
be
the
engaged in a
23rd.
cover-up. Yesterday, I had quite a lot to say about the ongoing supposed revelations of a man called Ralph Blewett, a discredited former fraudster who is prepared, he says now, to tell the truth to whichever police force, as of today, West Australian and Victorian, want to interview him about events at the very centre of an issue that, according to the true believers, threatens Julia Gillard's tenure of Prime Minister of Australia. So far, as I said yesterday, I can't see what the fuss is about. I can't see where the allegations actually are. I can see all sorts of questions that Julia Gillard says she's answered, and I can see why people might be jumping to conclusions, but I cannot see where there is a legitimate point of public interest or ongoing police investigation. Either way, I don't get it. Last night on 7:30, Lee Sales interviewed Nick Stiant-Brown, who, along with Peter Gordon, was one of the partners who conducted the exit interview with Julia Gillard from Slater and Gordon. Breathless headlines today suggest that there's another piece in the jigsaw puzzle, but from my watching of Nick Stiant-Brown and my reading of the transcript, the extra piece in the jigsaw puzzle seems to amount to the fact that a letter was sent to Slater and Gordon as part of a conveyance addressed to Julia Gillard, which she claims she didn't have personal knowledge of. Well, having handled a grand total of 3 conveyances in my 7-year legal career, I can assure you, you haven't got a clue what's going on with most of the conveyances that you're supervising. It's mostly handled by paralegals, and for an individual lawyer to not know about a letter from a bank on a conveyancing file, and for that 18 years later to be dredged out as significant, is little short of comical. But if others want to make something of it, let's put it to the test. Mark Baker is the editor-at-large at The Age newspaper. Mark has been to Seattle, and he interviewed Nick Stiant-Brown, the former partner at Slater and Gordon, who together with Peter Gordon conducted the exit interview that became and transcribed so much a part of this story. Yesterday I mentioned Mark in my discussion on air, and he wants the right of reply today, and I'm more than happy as always to give it to him. Morning to you, Mark.
Morning, John.
Where is this up to today? You've again written in the paper about Nick Stiant-Brown's interview with Lee Sales last night.
Yes, I have. Well, that's a fresh development, and it's an interesting development.
Why is it interesting that she doesn't recall and had no knowledge of a letter from a bank on a conveyancing file when her job was to be an industrial lawyer and the conveyancing was being done by a paralegal?
Well, it is interesting because the letter from the bank, and she was the one who banked with Commonwealth Bank of Australia. The letter was addressed to her, and it said, "In reply to your request." So the letter makes it plainly clear that she was involved in getting that assurance, that certificate of currency for the insurance, which was a requirement of Slater and Gordon before it issued the $150,000 mortgage.
It does no such thing. Letters are written. Have you ever seen a conveyancing file?
Yeah, I've seen this one. I've seen plenty. Yes, I have indeed.
Letters are sent to you in your name, even though you may never even physically see them, let alone process them, let alone turn your mind to them and answer them. They're form letters from banks and mortgage providers that law firms process by their thousands every day.
Yes, well, there are plenty of other references in the conveyancing file which point to Ms. Gillard's involvement, and I think the question or the issues around the purchase of the Fitzroy property can't be seen in isolation of a few documents in the file. You have to see it in the context that the Fitzroy house was bought in the name of Ralph Blewett with a power of attorney that Ms. Gillard provided to Bruce Wilson, her then boyfriend. She is on the public record as saying that she helped find the property. She went looking for a house. She went to the mortgage with Bruce Wilson. She was involved intimately at that level.
And
later
none of that's against the law.
Sorry, no, I'm not saying it's against the law. I'm not saying anything
what's the
in relation
point
to
of all
illegality.
of this?
Well, she's repeatedly saying basically she knows nothing about the ins and outs of this transaction.
And why don't we
when
accept that?
She set it up with her boyfriend.
He was her boyfriend.
Associate.
She was a lawyer. She said, "Yeah, the firm
that's
can
fine.
help
Well,
you here."
Okay, I'm not saying this equals illegality, but for her to say,
Why is
I
it
can't remember anything or I don't know anything about this is rather tests credulity, doesn't it?
Well, no, I don't think it does, and I don't understand. Here, there are so many tiny little, almost inconsequential things being turned into something that's supposedly big. But I'm sorry, I might be as thick as two bricks, or it might be something else is going. I just don't understand why so many people are still writing about it when there is nothing
Well, I think people
of
are writing about it. An
substance
increasing
to
number of
support it.
people are writing about it and reporting, including your colleagues, Lee Sales, Tony Jones. Everyone's on the case now because there are questions that haven't been answered.
What
And
Lee
they're
Sales
legitimate-
did
they're
yesterday was
legitimate
try and draw,
journalistic questions.
as I'm trying to do today, to draw out of all of this, where is there anything of substance? Where is it?
Well, there's a whole range of questions. I mean, I'm not endorsing the particular allegations that Michael Smith has just made. That's for him to do that, and he's studied the documents in great detail. But, you know, there are questions. There are a range of questions across the board that won't go away. Now, you know,
Well, they won't go away because
the
people...
Prime Minister would wish them away. But it's also, I'd also say, John, it's legitimate journalism. It's the role of journalism. It's the role of the media, of which you're a part, to question. Now, not to make unfounded allegations.
And I'm doing it to you
but,
now because I don't get it. I don't see where the story
well, I'm sorry,
is or what
it's
it's
not my
based on.
responsibility to make you get it, John, but plenty of other journalists are interested. Plenty of other journalists are involved. They're doing serious digging on this. They're not making unfounded allegations. They're raising questions about inconsistencies, contradictions, unanswered questions in relation to the Prime Minister's account of these events years ago. Now, it's a long time ago, yes, I accept that. But as has been pointed out, she says we shouldn't deal with this because it's a long time ago. Well, she just set up a royal commission into events around child abuse, which go way back, well beyond that.
Stop. She's never said we shouldn't deal with this because it's a long time ago.
Hang on. No. She's repeatedly said, look, this is ancient, this is old matters. Why do you people keep dredging it up?
She said,
why do you dredge it up?
She said, if you've got an allegation, you put it to me. And I'm asking the same question. What actually is it that she's alleged to have done that warrants all of this? Because I can't see it.
Well,
there's absolutely plausible and innocent explanations for everything you guys say is suspicious.
Right. Well, look, just to make the record clear, I'm not leading a charge against the Prime Minister here. I'm involved in reporting a story that other journalists are involved in. I believe there are questions. I'm convinced there are questions that remain to be resolved, and fresh information. Maybe it is incremental. Comes along. We need to look at it, consider it, and we need, because we're talking here about the Prime Minister, the leader of this country, and is her account of what happened in events and her association, innocently as she declares, around these events in the early 90s. Does it stack up?
All right, well, we will see what happens, maybe even in the Parliament next week. We're going to leave it there. Mark Baker, editor-in-large at The Age, who has been writing the stories based on his interview in Seattle with Nick Stiant-Brown. 7 minutes to 9. Jon Faine with you on 774 ABC Melbourne. I will get to your calls in a moment. Alan in Werribee. Morning, Alan.
G'day, mate. This whole Gillard thing that's been going on for months, the whole thing just smacks of a fishing expedition like the Bill Clinton matter. Kept going until they eventually find something of minor importance and blow it out. The Age should be ashamed of itself for publishing unsubstantiated stuff. Sure, investigate, but wasn't the old journalism thing where you published when you had something of substance?
Well, I'm interested in people's reactions, Alan, and I'm very interested in yours, as with Joe from Essendon. Morning, Joe.
G'day, John. You should have cut these guys off at the pass. The first guy gave us absolutely nothing but typical shock jock rubbish, and that's the reason why I don't listen to those stations. And the second guy tried to legitimise a fishing expedition which basically presented no evidence whatsoever, and you were right in claiming that it was just full of innuendo and smoke. I mean, where there's smoke in this case, there ain't no fire. And the sad thing is, while they're wasting their time with this, there are so many other important things that's happening in this country regarding water preservation and things that they could have investigated in the first place.
OK, I've got a full board and I want to get a variety of views to air. Pamela from Carlton. Good morning, Pamela.
Hi. Look, I think it's perfectly legitimate that we would be digging around to actually prove the character of our Prime Minister. I mean, she's well known that she is a liar, and actually...
How's it well known?
Well, I mean, of course it's well known, and John, you're really putting your views. I mean, you didn't hardly let those guys speak. I mean, the character of this person is under question, and this is a legitimate investigation, because if you're going to attend an auction with a power of attorney, you've got to know what's going on. I mean,
Well,
if you're living there with your boyfriend, you've actually got to know
Sorry,
about
Pamela,
a mortgage.
whoa, just back up. His claim, completely out of I don't know where, was that there must be a certified copy of a power of attorney, and there's no evidence of it being created or produced.
I agree that you could attend an auction with an original.
There's no requirement to have a copy of a power of attorney. That's just
No,
making
but you
stuff
should have an
up.
original. I mean, yeah, well, fair enough.
You
But
can't
that
just make
is-
things up,
No,
Pamela.
but the point is that if she didn't know about all this and didn't know where the mortgage came from, didn't know anything, she's really negligent as a lawyer. And I think it proves that if she doesn't have a clue about anything like very personal like that, what's she doing leading the country?
A different issue, but fine, I'm happy for you to say it. Pippa in Sydenham. Morning, Pippa.
Oh, sorry, that lady's logic just lost me there. Unfortunately, I'm of the era of Andrew Ollie, David Halpin and Chris Masters, and when you are able to get on the radio with the ABC, I expect substance, depth, analysis and honesty and integrity in dealing with whomever you're interviewing. And we're not getting any of that. And I'm really sad that I can no longer buy The Age, because it's gone to the level of the tabloids.
I'll try and get one more to air, and thank you, Pippa. And Deb from Point Cook, good morning.
Good morning, John. How are you today?
Don't waste your time.
Listen, I am as frustrated with all of this as to hear in your voice and over the last few days. And it is my question: are they trying to dismount her or get her out of her prime ministership for something she's done as prime minister, or something that happened when she was a salaried lawyer 17 years ago? For a company that she no longer works for. Now,
Okay, good on you. I'll have to leave it there because it's news time.